Imagine standing on a world not so different from Earth. Blue skies stretch overhead, oceans lap its shores where ancient cities gleam beneath twin moons. A civilization thrives, their astronomers mapping stars, their philosophers pondering existence. But this isn't Earth. This is Venus, 10,000 years ago. What if I told you that before Venus became the hellish inferno we know today, it might have harbored life? Not microbial life hiding in clouds, but complex, possibly intelligent beings who gazed at our Earth and wondered if they were alone in the universe. The evidence isn't just in planetary science or geological models. It's hidden in plain sight, in ancient myths, in puzzling astronomical knowledge possessed by Bronze Age civilizations, in Sanskrit texts that describe celestial battles, and in recent discoveries that shatter everything we thought we knew about Venus. Welcome to Myths of the Cosmos. Today, we're investigating one of the most controversial theories in alternative astronomy. Did humans or human-like beings once call Venus home?
Let's begin with what we know about Venus today. Our nearest planetary neighbor, often called Earth's twin because of its similar size and mass, is actually Earth's evil twin. Surface temperatures reach 900 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead. Atmospheric pressure at the surface is 92 times that of Earth, equivalent to being 3,000 feet underwater. The atmosphere itself is 96% carbon dioxide, shrouded in clouds of sulfuric acid that rain down but evaporate before reaching the hellish surface. Venus rotates backward compared to most planets, spinning so slowly that a single day lasts 243 Earth days, longer than its year. This retrograde rotation remains one of planetary science's great mysteries. Something catastrophic happened to Venus. But what? Here's where it gets interesting. The Standard Model explains Venus through runaway greenhouse effect. According to this theory, Venus once had liquid water oceans, perhaps for billions of years. But being closer to the sun, solar radiation gradually heated the planet. Water vapor, itself a greenhouse gas, amplified the warming. More heat meant more evaporation, which meant more warming, in a vicious cycle. Eventually, the oceans boiled away. Ultraviolet radiation split water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. The lightweight hydrogen escaped to space, while oxygen reacted with surface minerals. What remained was a scorched, lifeless rock wrapped in a toxic atmosphere. This process supposedly took billions of years, ending roughly 700 million years ago, when massive volcanic resurfacing wiped away whatever geological history Venus possessed. But here's the problem. Recent discoveries suggest this timeline might be catastrophically wrong. In September 2020, astronomers using the James Clerk Maxwell telescope announced they'd detected phosphine in Venus's atmosphere. Phosphine, a molecule consisting of one phosphorus atom bonded to 3 hydrogen atoms, is significant because on Earth it's primarily produced by living organisms or industrial processes. There are no known abiotic processes that produce significant quantities of phosphine in rocky planet atmospheres. The implications were staggering. Possible evidence of life in Venus's clouds, where temperatures and pressures are more Earth-like. The discovery was immediately controversial. Critics questioned the data analysis. Some argued the signature could be sulfur dioxide, not phosphine. The debate continues, but it forced scientists to reconsider Venus not as a long-dead world, but as a planet that might harbor life even now. If Venus could have life today in its hellish conditions, what about when conditions were far more favorable? Between 1961 and 1984, the Soviet Union launched a series of Venera probes to Venus. Several successfully landed, transmitting data for up to 2 hours before succumbing to the heat and pressure. The black and white images they sent back showed a rocky, desolate landscape beneath dense clouds. But buried in the data were anomalies. Venera 13 and 14 detected unusual rock compositions inconsistent with standard volcanic basalt. Some formations appeared layered in ways suggesting sedimentary processes, typically formed in the presence of liquid water. More intriguingly, some images showed formations that a few researchers claimed resembled artificially shaped objects, though this remains highly speculative and disputed. The Soviet scientists, bound by Cold War-era restrictions and limited by their technology, couldn't fully investigate these anomalies. The data sat in archives for decades. In 2019, NASA climate models suggested something shocking. Venus might have been habitable far more recently than previously believed. Computer simulations showed that Venus could have maintained liquid water oceans and Earth-like temperatures until as recently as 700 million years ago, perhaps even more recently if certain conditions held. But some researchers pushed further. What if the transformation happened even faster? What if some catastrophic event, a massive asteroid impact, sudden volcanic eruption, or even something more exotic triggered rapid climate collapse? If Venus remained habitable until 10,000 years ago, the approximate end of Earth's last ice age and the beginning of human civilization, the implications would be revolutionary. At minimum, it would mean Venus was habitable during the same epoch dinosaurs roamed Earth. At maximum, it means Venus could have harbored complex life, even intelligence, while anatomically modern humans were painting caves on Earth.
Every ancient culture on Earth was obsessed with Venus. The Maya called it Chak-Ek, the great star, and structured their entire calendar system around its cycles. The Babylonians knew Venus as Ishtar, goddess of love and war. Greeks called it Phosphorus, morning, and Hesperus, evening, before realizing they were the same celestial body. Romans named it Venus. The ancient Chinese tracked its movements with astonishing precision. Why this universal fascination? The conventional answer: Venus is the brightest object in the sky after the sun and moon, visible to the naked eye even during daylight under the right conditions. Its appearances as both morning star and evening star created mystery. But what if there's more to the story? What if ancient people remembered something about Venus, not through direct observation, but through inherited cultural memory? In Judeo-Christian tradition, Lucifer, literally light bearer, is often associated with Venus as the morning star. The prophet Isaiah writes, "How you have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn, you have been cast down to the earth." This passage is typically interpreted as metaphor for pride and fall from grace. But read literally, it describes a celestial body, specifically Venus, experiencing some catastrophic fall or transformation. Could this be cultural memory of Venus's transformation from life-bearing world to hellscape? Hindu Vedic texts contain passages that have puzzled scholars for centuries. The Vishnu Purana describes Shukra, Venus, as a world that underwent a great transformation. Ancient Sanskrit astronomy displayed remarkable knowledge of Venus's orbital mechanics, including its phases, something not officially discovered in the West until Galileo's telescopic observations in 1610. But the most intriguing references come from the Mahabharata, India's great epic, which describes celestial wars involving flying vehicles called vimanas. Some translations speak of a great light in the sky that became dark and terrible, consuming a civilization. Literal interpretation of these texts is controversial and often dismissed as mythology or poetic embellishment. But the specificity of some descriptions raises questions. How did ancient people, without telescopes, know Venus rotated differently from other planets? How did they calculate its synodic period, 584 days, with such accuracy? The Maya were obsessed with Venus. Their Dresden Codex contained detailed Venus tables calculating its synodic cycles with less than a day's error over a 481-year period, more accurate than the calculations of their European contemporaries. They associated Venus with warfare and sacrifice. Military campaigns and ritual sacrifices were timed to Venus's appearances. The Maya believed Venus was a warlike god whose gaze brought misfortune. Why would they fear a planet? Stars and planets were generally seen as benevolent or neutral. The sun and moon were life-givers, but Venus inspired dread. Could this be inherited memory of some ancient catastrophe associated with Venus, or knowledge that Venus underwent a terrible transformation that served as cosmic warning? The Hopi people of North America have oral traditions speaking of previous worlds that were destroyed. According to their cosmology, we live in the fourth world. 3 previous worlds were destroyed by catastrophes. Some interpreters of Hopi prophecy suggest references to celestial bodies that fell or changed. One fascinating detail: some versions of the creation story mention a blue star that appeared before the current world began, roughly 10 to 12,000 years ago, coinciding with the end of the last ice age on Earth. Venus today appears as a brilliant white star, but if it once had blue oceans and atmosphere, it might have appeared distinctly blue, especially to observers from Earth. Here's a legitimate mystery that mainstream archaeology struggles to explain. Bronze Age and earlier civilizations possessed astronomical knowledge they seemingly shouldn't have had. The Antikythera mechanism, a 2,000-year-old Greek analog computer recovered from a shipwreck, could predict eclipses, track the moon's irregular orbit, and model the movements of the 5 known planets with stunning accuracy. Its sophistication wouldn't be matched for over 1,000 years. The Nebra sky disk, dating to 1600 BCE, shows astronomical knowledge including the Pleiades, solstices, and possibly even the Metonic cycle, governing lunar solar calendar synchronization. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, built 11,000 years ago by supposedly primitive hunter-gatherers, features sophisticated astronomical alignments and possibly represents the oldest star map ever created. These artifacts suggest a level of astronomical sophistication that seems to appear suddenly in the archaeological record. Standard explanations involve gradual accumulation of knowledge through observation. But could some of this knowledge be inherited? Passed down from a time when humans had access to information we've since lost?
Let's engage with the science. What sequence of events could transform a habitable Venus into the inferno we see today? And could it have happened quickly? A massive asteroid impact could trigger a runaway greenhouse effect through several mechanisms. The impact energy would vaporize enormous quantities of water, creating a super greenhouse atmosphere. Dust and debris would initially cool the planet, but once it settled, the greenhouse effect would dominate. Evidence. Venus's surface shows signs of massive resurfacing roughly 700 million years ago, with fewer impact craters than expected for a 4.6 billion-year-old surface. Something wiped the slate clean. Venus may have experienced planet-wide volcanic eruptions, a volcanic apocalypse that released billions of tons of CO2, sulfur dioxide, and other gases. This could create runaway greenhouse conditions in mere centuries. Recent mapping by ESA's Venus Express and Japan's Akatsuki spacecraft revealed active volcanic areas. Venus isn't geologically dead. It's actively resurfacing even now. Our sun hasn't been constant. In its early history, it was dimmer but more variable. Periodic increases in solar output could have pushed Venus past a climate tipping point. Once started, the runaway greenhouse effect is irreversible without massive planetary engineering. Earth's magnetic field protects our atmosphere from solar wind stripping. Venus has no significant magnetic field. If Venus once had a strong magnetic field that suddenly collapsed, perhaps due to core cooling or impact disruption, its atmosphere would become vulnerable to solar wind erosion, while simultaneously experiencing greenhouse effect from remaining gases. For human or complex life to have existed on Venus, we need a very specific timeline. Venus must have remained habitable much later than current models suggest. The transformation must have been rapid, centuries to millennia rather than millions of years. This must have occurred within the time frame of human cultural memory, roughly the last 10,000 to 50,000 years. Is this scientifically plausible? Here's where it gets complicated. Recent climate modeling by NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies suggests Venus could indeed have maintained liquid water oceans until 700 to 750 million years ago under certain conditions. But extending habitability to 10,000 years ago requires special circumstances. Dr. Michael Way, climate scientist at NASA GISS, proposed that Venus might have had shallow oceans until a massive resurfacing event. If the event's timing is younger than currently estimated, Venus could theoretically have been habitable much more recently. But here's the real problem. We have very limited data. Venus's surface is hidden beneath clouds, accessible only through radar mapping and a handful of short-lived landers. We're working with incomplete information. If Venus was habitable while Earth was also developing life, could life have transferred between planets? Panspermia, the hypothesis that life can transfer between worlds, has gained scientific respectability. We know that asteroid impacts can eject rocks into space with sufficient velocity to escape a planet's gravity. Some Martian meteorites found on Earth contain organic compounds, proving material can transfer between planets. If Venus harbored life, even microbial life, asteroid impacts could have ejected Venusian material toward Earth. Some scientists speculate that life on Earth might have Venusian origins. Conversely, Earth life could have seeded Venus. If Venus was habitable 10,000 years ago, the implications are staggering. Life forms on Venus and Earth could have shared a common origin and potentially even exchanged genetic material through multiple transfer events across billions of years. Venus has no moons. Earth has one large moon. Mars has two tiny moons. Mercury has none due to proximity to the Sun, but Venus, roughly Earth's size and mass, having 0 moons is unusual. Some astronomers propose Venus once had a moon, possibly even multiple moons, that were destroyed or ejected by some catastrophic event. The destruction of a large moon through collision could dump enormous amounts of debris onto Venus, potentially triggering the greenhouse apocalypse. Interestingly, some ancient texts describe Venus with attendants or companions that later disappeared. While this could be purely mythological, it's a curious coincidence. Venus's magnetosphere is bizarre. While the planet has no intrinsic magnetic field, interaction between solar wind and the upper atmosphere creates an induced magnetosphere. Recent observations show this can create a magnetic tail stretching millions of kilometers behind Venus. Some researchers have detected unusual electromagnetic signatures in this tail, patterns that some claim don't match expected natural phenomena. These claims are highly controversial and haven't been confirmed by peer review, but they've sparked speculation about remnant artifacts or even signals in Venus's upper atmosphere.
Let's state the hypothesis clearly. What if an advanced civilization, human or human-like, developed on Venus between 50,000 and 10,000 years ago? What if they achieved spacefaring capability? What if, recognizing their world's impending doom, they evacuated to the nearest habitable planet, Earth? This would explain several anomalies. Around 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, human civilization seems to suddenly appear. Yes, anatomically modern humans existed for 200,000 plus years as hunter-gatherers, but complex agriculture, animal domestication, monumental architecture, writing, and advanced astronomy emerge relatively suddenly in the archaeological record. Standard explanation: climate change at the end of the last ice age created conditions favorable for agriculture, leading to civilization. But it's worth noting that this Neolithic revolution happened independently in multiple locations worldwide around the same time: Middle East, China, Mesoamerica, and possibly others. Could arrival of refugees from Venus or their technology and knowledge have sparked this revolution? As mentioned earlier, ancient civilizations possessed sophisticated astronomical knowledge. If the Venusian refugees arrived on Earth, they would bring with them intimate knowledge of celestial mechanics, having watched their own world die from planetary catastrophe. Cultures worldwide share remarkably similar myths: great floods, sky beings descending to Earth, gods teaching humans agriculture and astronomy, and stories of a previous age that ended in catastrophe. These could be different cultural interpretations of actual historical events, the arrival of refugees from a dying world, and the knowledge they brought. Why were ancient cultures so fixated on Venus specifically? If humans originated there, even subconscious cultural memory might preserve special significance for that planet. Here's the challenge. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. What evidence exists for this hypothesis? Honestly, very little direct evidence. This hypothesis is speculative, built on anomalous archaeological findings, often disputed, mythological interpretation, subjective, scientific possibilities, untested, circumstantial correlations, not causation. No one has found Venusian artifacts on Earth. No one has detected ruins on Venus. The hypothesis remains firmly in speculation territory.
However, absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence, especially when we have explored less than 0.01% of Venus's surface in detail. For this hypothesis to gain scientific credibility, we would need direct evidence on Venus, ruins, artifacts, or clear signs of past complex life detectable through orbital imaging or surface exploration. Genetic markers. If the Venusians were biological beings compatible with Earth life, they might have left genetic traces in Earth's biosphere. Archaeological anomalies. Objects or technology on Earth that clearly don't fit human developmental timelines. Refined climate models. Proof that Venus was habitable far more recently than currently believed. Atmospheric biosignatures. Confirmation of complex organic chemistry in Venus's atmosphere inconsistent with purely geological processes. None of these have been found yet. Scientific skepticism is healthy and necessary. Let's address the main counter-arguments. Venus's surface shows no signs of civilization. True, but Venus's surface has been completely resurfaced by volcanic activity. If a civilization existed millions of years ago, all traces would be erased. However, 10,000 years is recent enough that some traces should remain, unless the transformation was extraordinarily violent. Humans couldn't have come from another planet. Correct, if we're talking about Earth-evolved humans, but the hypothesis suggests human-like beings evolved on Venus independently, or that both planets were seeded from a common source via panspermia. The timeline doesn't match geological evidence. This is the strongest counterargument. Current best estimates place Venus's habitability ending 700 million years ago, incompatible with intelligent life arising and then migrating to Earth within human timescales. However, these estimates rely on models with significant uncertainties. Small changes in assumptions could dramatically alter the timeline. Why no technological traces? If a civilization advanced enough to evacuate a dying planet existed, we should find technological artifacts either on Venus or Earth. Their absence is glaring. Possible explanations: technology was organic or biodegradable, small population left minimal trace, or we haven't looked in the right places. None of them are satisfying answers.
The question, "Did humans live on Venus?" remains firmly in the realm of speculation. The scientific consensus is clear. If Venus was ever habitable, it was billions of years ago, far too early for complex life, let alone intelligence. But science advances through questioning assumptions. Every major discovery begins with someone asking, what if? What if Venus's transformation was more recent than we think? What if upcoming missions, NASA's Da Vinci Plus and Veritas, and ESA's Envision, reveal surprises in Venus's geological history? What if atmospheric studies find undeniable biosignatures? The beauty of science is that it's self-correcting. If evidence emerges supporting recent Venusian habitability, scientific consensus will change. If evidence continues pointing to Venus being a hellhole for hundreds of millions of years, speculation will fade. Regardless of whether intelligent beings once lived on Venus, the questions this hypothesis raises are profound. How fragile are planetary climate systems? Could Earth undergo a similar transformation? What responsibilities do we have as potentially the only intelligence in the solar system? How much of human history and prehistory remains unknown? Venus stands as a warning. Whatever happened there, whether gradual greenhouse effect or sudden catastrophe, transformed an Earth-sized world into a scorched hellscape. If it happened to Venus, it could theoretically happen to Earth. Understanding Venus isn't just about satisfying curiosity about ancient civilizations. It's about understanding our own planet's future. Perhaps the most humbling aspect of this mystery is what it reveals about our cosmic insignificance and significance simultaneously. If we were alone, if Earth is the only planet in the solar system that developed intelligence, then we carry an enormous responsibility as consciousness's only representatives in our cosmic neighborhood. If we're not alone, if Venus once harbored life or intelligence, then we're part of a larger story of life in the solar system, and understanding that story becomes crucial to understanding ourselves. Ancient myths speak of beings descending from stars to teach humanity. Whether literal refugees from Venus, metaphorical representations of natural phenomena, or pure imagination, these myths reveal humanity's eternal question: are we alone? The morning star shines in Earth's sky, brilliant and beautiful, hiding its secrets beneath impenetrable clouds. We project our hopes and fears onto that light: love and war, promise and warning, origin and destination. 10,000 years ago, roughly the time the hypothesis suggests Venus transformed, human civilization was just beginning. We were painting caves, domesticating animals, and taking our first steps toward the modern world. If refugees from a dying Venus arrived among us, teaching astronomy and agriculture, their story is lost to time. Or perhaps it's preserved, encrypted in myths we've inherited but no longer understand, waiting for the day our technology advances sufficiently to decode the message. Venus keeps its secrets for now. But we're getting better at asking questions. Every probe we send, every telescope we point toward the morning star brings us closer to truth, whatever that truth may be. The universe is full of mysteries. Venus is just one. But it's a mystery close to home, visible every morning and evening, reminding us that the cosmos is stranger and more wonderful than we imagine. If you've enjoyed this journey into one of the cosmos's deepest mysteries, subscribe to Myths of the Cosmos. We explore the boundaries between science and speculation, between what we know and what we wonder. Because the most important discoveries often begin with someone asking impossible questions. Until next time, keep looking up. The answers might be hiding in plain sight, written in starlight, waiting for us to learn how to read them.